Well, my father left when I was 5 and Kurt was 4, and I basically just became like his little mom. You know, my mom had to work, and so she would go to work, and I would, see about Kurt. I would look out for him, and I remember teaching him how to tie his shoes, and don't do this and don't get into that, and try to keep him out of trouble and show him things. I had to watch Kurt for a little while after school. Mom didn't get home till a little bit after we got home from school, and I was 6 and he was 5, and in this day and age, you get in a lot of trouble for doing that, leaving your kids alone at that age. When I was about 14 years old, I started experimenting with alcohol and drank. And I was on a family picnic, and my older brother mixed me up a drink, and that's how my journey with drinking started. I didn't drink very much at that time. I just would get together with my girlfriends on the weekend. I started gravitating towards those kinds of folks, those people, kids that drank. And then a couple of years after that, I started experimenting with drugs a little bit, not too much. I never thought that I would have done, ever. I mean, you could have never convinced me that I would have shot dope, but I did. And I really regret that, but it's part of my story. When my son was about 3 or 4, my mom moved here to Missouri. She moved to southern Missouri. And she called me. She bought a liquor store. She called me to move down there and help her out, so I did. When he was in his early 20s, and at that time, that's when I started hanging around the bikers and stuff. And so I'm developing this real tough girl persona, and he's gay. So I'm like going, all right. But when there wasn't anyone around, him and I were extremely close, and I did try to understand my brother, but I accepted him, and when he got sick, it was devastating to my mom and I. I mean, I was really having trouble accepting what was going on, so my drinking was increasing. I was angry, I was confused, I was hurt, and there wasn't a whole lot of people around that understood and had much compassion for this situation. They just, well, it's his own fault because he was gay. And so there at the end, he was in the hospital, and I spent the last 3 weeks with him. They put a bed, the hospital was so terrific. They put a bed right next to his that I could sleep in. And I got to stay in the room with him day and night for the last 3 weeks of his life. We were both born in April, 1 year apart, and we usually celebrate our birthdays together. And when he was in ICU towards the end, I went in there and he said, I just want to make it one last birthday for us to spend it together. And I just about lost it. I said, well, that's okay, bro. I'll just sing you happy birthday right now. Because it was like getting close to where they said he probably wouldn't make it a couple more days. And so I did. But he hung in there, he went into a coma for a while, and he passed, and his funeral was on my birthday. So that was really hard. But he was, I don't know, I think after Kurt died, I just went out of control. I went absolutely out of control. I was mad at everybody and everything, and God was #1 on the list. I was just so enraged with God that he really suffered a lot that last month. I mean, it was horrific. I had no coping skills for that at that time except to just try to be this big tough girl, and I didn't do a whole lot of drinking that 3 weeks. I tried to keep it together, but after he died, I started drinking with a vengeance. I mean, it just went totally out of control. The drugs came back into the picture. I started getting scared around probably 3 or 4 months before my bottom actually hit. So I decided I'm going to start working weekends so I can kind of control. I was trying to control it so that I didn't have too many days off. about 2 months before my bottom, I thought, you know, I'm going to join the maintenance crew because they work Saturday and Sunday. So I'm going to work 7 days a week because for some reason I could feel like this impending doom coming. And I was still trying to manage it and control it so that it wouldn't just completely go out of, go crazy. So for the last 7 weeks, I worked every day for 7 weeks straight and drank every night. And then one day I just got up and I went to the bar in the morning and I started drinking and I didn't stop. You know, and it was like 3 days later and I was sitting at my kitchen table and I was suicidal. You know, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I cannot do this anymore. You know, it felt like I was this black abyss, you know, and I was just in it. And I couldn't see any way out. And my mom had moved back to Colorado. Kurt had died. I sent my son back to his dad because he was starting to show behavior problems.
I'm Brandon Montoya. I'm the oldest son of Angie and Don Carter. I was about 7 years old, and we lived over on St. Mary's Boulevard in a little apartment with me and Mom in it. And her favorite spot to go down and hang out was an old bar down there on Missouri Boulevard called the Jeffersonian. And on a Saturday day to shoot some pool and get some lunch. And you know, kids probably shouldn't have been in there even then, but it was, you know, 12 o'clock on a Saturday, not too crazy, nothing like that. And so Mom told me we were just going to get some lunch and we're going to hang out and this and that. And we would only be there an hour or so. And so she started shooting some pool and people started showing up. And before you know it, you know, 4 o'clock became 6, became 8 o'clock. And she kind of, you know, it was one of those scenes kind of like it got dark outside and everybody's partying. And I was kind of being shuffled to the side a little bit and this and that. And we started walking home. We stayed almost until closing time of the bar. I mean, I don't know exactly what time it was, but I know it was very late. It was the latest I had ever been out. And we lived about, like I said, about a half a mile up the road, and we were walking back, and Mom was so intoxicated walking back that I literally had to push her up the hill behind her to get her to go up the hill. And I just remember I was like, well, you know, why is it like this? Why is she so drunk? Why does she just have to be like this, you know? And then we got to our apartment, and our apartment was up on a second floor, and we had to walk on these long stairs to get up to the top. And then she was walking up, and it was about 15 or 18 feet up in the air, and we got up to the top, and she had locked the door and didn't take her keys with us. So we were locked out of the apartment. And, you know, here we are at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, and there was a window ledge that went in through the kitchen right to the left of it. And it was probably one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life. My mom climbed up on top of that deck balcony about 18 feet off the ground and hung over to the windowsill and had to raise it and pull herself in that drunk. And I literally thought she was going to fall and kill herself. And she didn't, thank God. He protected her and protected me and got in, and we went to bed, but that memory never kind of goes anywhere. You know, I don't think at 7 years old you're supposed to be walking your parent home drunk and watching them almost really, you know, have a catastrophic injury right in front of you. So that kind of left an imprint on me.
It got to where I was just acting foolishly and out of control. You know, I had a lot of stuff going on in my life, and to me, alcohol made me strong. It made me invincible to where I could handle some of these things. In my mind, it was like, go ahead, bring it on. You know, if I have my Jack Daniels here, I can get through it. You know, my friends rallied around me and said, you know, just leave the drugs alone. Don't drink the hard stuff. You'll be all right. And I thought, oh, that's a grand idea. Why didn't I think of that? They were trying to be supportive. So I tried to do that. You know, I tried to just put it back in the box. No drinking through the week, no drugs, and I really set out to do that. I tried to muster up all my willpower to get that done because I really wanted to have this relationship with alcohol. I missed it, and I gave it everything I had, and I was out there for 7 months. And when I'm in a meeting, I talk about taking a little trip to hell, and that's what it was for me. My own personal trip to hell in that 7 months. And I wound up back in treatment the following October, and that's when I got sober. I picked up the phone again, and I called the treatment center, and I told them I needed some help, that I I wasn't going to make it. You know, I didn't know what to do, and they got me back in treatment. I went into intensive outpatient, and basically I surrendered. I just gave up. You know, I had used everything inside of me to try and manage this thing and be able to do it, and I just couldn't. And so I just laid down my sword. You know, I gave up. I said, fine, what do I got to do in order for me to not drink and drug, because I can't do this by myself. And, you know, I was really angry about that. I didn't go into recovery with a lot of grace. I was very scared, but I didn't want anybody to know I was scared. So I'd go to a meeting, you know, and have my leather on and my black boots and just kind of give people that look like I dare you to talk to me. And because I was scared. I didn't know any of these people. I didn't know what recovery was going to be like. I thought I was going to have to change who I was into something that I wasn't in order to stay sober. You know, I mean, I was clueless. You know, I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to wear any makeup, no jewelry, no sex, nothing. Everything's just going to be the straight and narrow, because I just didn't even know what it was about. But slowly, I just kept going to meetings. And I listened, and then some people started talking to me and encouraging me to go with them after the meeting and have some coffee or go out to eat or come over to their house, and I started making a few friends. I became willing, you know, and I had to pray for that because I wasn't willing before. And I went to a meeting one day, and there was a lady there, and I liked what she was saying and what she was sharing. So after the meeting, I asked her if she'd be my sponsor. And that's someone who kind of helps guide you through the 12 steps. And she said, sure. And we've been together ever since. That's been about 15 years.
Well, my name's Jackie Johnson. I know Angie from recovery over 15 years now. And we started working together shortly after she came in to recovery. And gosh, kind of been a little team ever since. She's really, oh gosh, Ange just changed so much, which is just a testament to the program of recovery. And she had a rough time in the beginning, as everybody does, and you know, wanted to keep everybody kind of at arm's length. And through working, and well, we'd meet every week, and just the two of us, and talk about the program, and you know, how she was feeling, and what did she want to do, what she want to work on, and we'd work on those things. And gosh, she's just, in the beginning, we always tell everybody, you know, to work the steps, get a sponsor, read the big book, you know, go to meetings. And so we would meet to work on the steps, the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And we just took them just at the order they're written. And, you know, sometimes we'd meet at the park and walk. And if Angie was having a bad day, why, she'd walk really fast, and my little short legs would try to keep up with her. And, you know, she'd work through things. And I think she learned the valuable lesson that, you know, life does deal us with problems, but we can get through them without having to drink. And that was the biggest thing. And I think, you know, once she realized that, she really embraced it. I mean, she just really took on recovery.
Started to experience some happiness. You know, I went into counseling and talked to a counselor about my brother and things like that, and so I made some progress there. My son was very happy. He was very happy, and he gave me a lot of support. You know, at the age of 14, you wouldn't think somebody could really give you so much support, but he sure did. You know, he was just him and I there together.
When I look at my mom now compared to my mom then, it's night and day. It's totally different. I mean, the things that she does now, if you'd have asked me, you know, 15 years ago, would that be going on? And I just like, no, that's not her. What's going on with that? So, you know, it's just, it's a daily struggle sometimes to keep those kind of addictions in check and what that is. And I get a lot of inspiration from the process that Mom's been through and the recovery she's been through. And like I said, my stepdad's been instrumental in that. And I don't know, it was a very, very up and down journey, you know. About 2 years ago, a year and a half ago to 2 years ago, she called me up one morning and she was really kind of just down in the dirt about kind of what was going on with like the moral fabric of our society, so to speak. You know, she was constantly seeing, you know, being bombarded with negative images in the news and kind of out in the community and, you know, handling disease and addiction the way she does. Sometimes you really get in the middle of that muck, so to speak. Relationship. That was being really identified and brought to the table. And she started writing these professional letters, including her contact information and name. And before you know it, she started getting a lot of responses back, and people were really buying into this positive vibe that she was putting out there.
I started it almost
a
year ago.
It got to a point too where, you know, it got me excited about it too. After the novelty wore off on it, I was able to see that she was going to commit to the project and see it all the way through, because she initially talked about doing it every day for a year. And I started thinking, I was like, man, that's going to be hard, because, you know, you get out of the gate with some momentum, you got 20, 30 things you like, but after that, you know, where's she going to find all these different things that's going on? So there in the middle, I started to kind of help her with it, you know, trying to just brainstorm and think about what products do I enjoy, what things allow for comforts and conveniences in my daily life and so forth. And it got to a point where literally the biggest theme of this project was it got me to start looking at things from a positive point of view as well. And so I started really trying to appreciate people's time, their work, their energy, and, you know, companies that do go the extra mile for you, or people that really truly care about you on a personal level. And I could feel the change in myself. And so then I started talking with Mom, and she started talking about how many different people it started to affect. Not just products, but then eventually evolved into the relationships that she was meeting here locally, you know, people that were contacting her from corporate headquarters of places. And so it was something that really allowed us to kind of just kind of flip the script on from negativity to positivity. You know, the cup's half full instead. And I was just really, really impressed with the way that took off. And you know, I think it did something for my mom on a spiritual level as well, because, you know, she was stuck in a rut there for a while with the negativity. And that kind of just, that cloud kind of just disappeared after she got into this project. It was almost inspirational. In fact, it is inspirational from the way I look at it. I'm very proud that she took
and I would do that no matter what it took. I think some days I got really desperate trying to find, because, you know, some days I didn't go any place or nothing happened. And
not at all. And not because my mom is not a quitter or doesn't follow through.
And I would look at products in my pantry or in the bathroom.
The way people are programmed, it's very difficult to get up each and every day and swim against the current. You know, eventually you get tired and you get back into the old routine of how you look at stuff. And I won't lie, there were times and stretches where I think that she struggled to find things, because it started getting so deep into it, but she never wavered. I mean, she totally committed to the project and saw it through and through, and it was amazing how she was able to keep that energy up over an entire calendar year. Very impressed with that. It got me to start looking at things from a positive point of view as well, and so I started really trying to appreciate people's time, their work, their energy, and, you know, companies that do go the extra mile for you, or people that really truly care about you on a personal level. And I could feel the change in myself. And so then I started talking with Mom, and she started talking about how many different people it started to affect. Not just products, but then eventually evolved into the relationships that she was meeting here locally, you know.
Hey, this is my letter from Angie, and it's titled Something Done Right Project. Today's date's January 3rd, 2010. She starts off with, my name is Angie Carter, and you are number 142 on my list of 365. To Jack, I just wanted you to know how very special you are to me, and I thought it would be nice to let you know this on your AA anniversary. Congratulations on 29 years, Jackie. That is a blessing. You've shown me so many wonderful things over the years.
Right
How
away.
Good friends act, how to suit up and show up for things that are important to other people, how to be dependable, how to let things go and move past them, how to handle things that are fearful or sad, and overall just how to do the next right thing. I believe the way you are as a friend and a sponsor is definitely something done right. You mean a lot to me, and I just wanted to say I love you very much. And I hope 2010 is the best year for you. You're a very special person, and I'm so fortunate that God let me meet you. So,
So reading that again,